They were called the world's best tanks. Russia's newest generation of armor, the T-90M Prorov, rolled toward Ukrainian defenses near Shakov, ready to change the battlefield forever. For months, Vladimir Putin had stockpiled these machines, keeping them as a secret weapon. But when the assault began on October 9th, everything changed in ways no one expected. According to Ukraine's Ministry of Finance, as of October 14th, Russian tank losses had climbed to an astonishing 11,256 destroyed. For months, the Kremlin dismissed these figures as irrelevant, insisting that Ukraine was only taking out old Soviet-era vehicles, expendable machines intended to exhaust Ukrainian ammunition, not deliver victory. Putin's real armor, his newest and most advanced T-90MS, had been held back. But in early October, after a year of buildup, Moscow finally deployed them to the Donetsk front, confident that these modern tanks would succeed where others had failed. The target was the city of Pokrovsk, a crucial logistical hub in eastern Ukraine. Intelligence reports cited by defense analyst David Axe in Euromaidan Press suggest that the assault had been in the making for months. The Kremlin had reserved its T-90Ms specifically for a major push here, believing they could finally collapse Ukraine's defenses in the region. Russia's summer campaign around Pokrovsk had already stalled. Infantry-heavy tactics had produced little progress, with small units attempting to infiltrate settlements but failing to hold ground. The October 9th offensive was meant to be different, a mechanized assault combining the full power of armor, vehicles, and elite troops. Putin himself had every reason to believe it would work. Back in June 2023, state media outlet TASS quoted him boasting that the T-90M can be said today to be the world's best tank. He claimed it had unmatched range, accuracy, and protection. As soon as it approaches positions, Putin declared, no chance is left for anyone or anything. But on October 9th, Ukraine proved that statement false within hours. On paper, the T-90M's specifications sound formidable. According to Army recognition, it's armed with a 125mm 2A46M M4 smoothbore gun capable of firing both standard shells and anti-tank guided missiles. Depending on the round, it can hit targets over 13,000 feet away, and up to 16,400 feet when using guided munitions. Its armament includes a coaxial PKT 7.62mm machine gun for engaging infantry. With a top speed of around 37 miles per hour and an operational range of over 340 miles, the tank is agile for its size. It's also covered in layers of defensive systems. The Relict explosive reactive armor is meant to neutralize incoming projectiles before impact, while a QNet kit is attached to protect the hull and rear from rocket-propelled grenades. On paper, the T-90M appears ready to face anything. But as the October battle near Pokrovsk proved, performance on paper means little when faced with real-world combat. Russia's plan was straightforward: a large-scale assault centered on the village of Shakov, 12 miles north of Pokrovsk. The idea was to seize Shakov, fortify it, and use it as a forward base for future operations deeper into Ukrainian territory. For this, Russia assembled a sizable force, 36 tanks, including several T-90Ms, backed by armored fighting vehicles and around 40 motorcycle troops. The operation would rely on speed, coordination, and the shock effect of modern armor, a traditional Russian approach to mechanized warfare. But Ukraine was not caught off guard. Shakov was defended by the 225th Assault Regiment, reinforced by units from the 1st Azov Corps, the same formation that had retaken several villages in the Pokrovsk region during the summer. Together, they had prepared defensive positions designed precisely to counter an armored assault. The attack began early on October 9th. According to Azov's after-action report, the Russians advanced in waves. First came the motorcycle troops, intended to draw fire and deplete Ukrainian ammunition. Then, columns of tanks and armored personnel carriers followed, carrying infantry meant to overrun the defenses. It was a tactic straight out of the Soviet playbook, and it failed almost immediately. Ukrainian drones, artillery, and minefields shredded the advancing formations. In minutes, the forward motorcycle troops were wiped out, and the armored columns behind them were forced to halt under intense bombardment. Ukrainian observers called in precise artillery strikes, while drone operators targeted vehicles from above. Within hours, at least 20 Russian vehicles were destroyed, including 3 tanks. The remainder of the force retreated south toward the nearby village of Volodymyrivka, where they were hunted through the night by Ukrainian bomber drones. By morning, no Russian troops remained there. The losses were severe. According to Azov Corps figures, the Russians lost 3 tanks, 16 armored fighting vehicles, 41 motorcycles, and 2 light vehicles in a single day. Personnel losses were catastrophic: 107 confirmed killed and 51 wounded, effectively wiping out most of the assault force. Analyst David Axe suggests that many of these troops likely belong to Russia's Marine brigades, elite formations redeployed to the Donetsk sector in recent months. If true, it means some of Russia's best conventional units were destroyed in a matter of hours. The so-called Invincible T-90MS played no decisive role in the attack. Instead, they became symbols of another failed experiment in Russian military planning. Tanks that were supposed to be untouchable falling victim to mines, drones, and artillery. For months, Putin had preserved his newest tanks as a trump card. On October 9th, that card was played and lost instantly. Ukraine's success at Shakov wasn't just a tactical victory, it was a public demonstration of the T-90M's flaws. For all of its advanced features, it remains a product of outdated Soviet-era design philosophies, and the weaknesses show. The T-90M first entered production in 1994, making it over 30 years old in basic concept. Despite its modern upgrades, many of its structural flaws remain unchanged from the T-72, including one of its most critical vulnerabilities: ammunition storage. Like its predecessors, the T-90M stores rounds in a carousel beneath the crew compartment, with no partition between the crew and ammunition. A direct hit that detonates the stored shells results in a catastrophic explosion that kills everyone inside, the infamous Jack-in-the-Box effect seen repeatedly throughout the war. The T-90M's other vulnerabilities have become apparent under modern conditions. Western analysts, including Small Wars Journal, point out that the tank had never been tested in a conflict with modern top attack weapons or loitering munitions until the war in Ukraine. The results have been disastrous. Ukraine's arsenal, from Javelin missiles to FP-5 kamikaze drones, has exposed fatal weaknesses. One particularly notorious issue, dubbed spinning turret syndrome by Forbes in May 2024, occurs when the tank's turret is damaged in a strike and begins rotating uncontrollably, rendering the gun useless. Multiple confirmed battlefield incidents have demonstrated this flaw. In January 2024, a T-90M was disabled by 2 M2 Bradley infantry vehicles, platforms that, in theory, should not have been able to penetrate the tank's armor. The cause? Turret failure. In December 2023 and again in May 2024, Ukrainian FPV drones struck T-90MS, triggering the same malfunction, the turret spinning erratically until crews abandoned their vehicles. These failures point to a larger truth. The T-90M's design belongs to a different era. The tank was never meant to fight in a battlefield saturated with smart munitions and autonomous drones. Its defensive systems, such as Stora and Relikt, were designed to counter older guided missile systems, not modern precision or loitering threats. Publicly, however, Russia continues to promote the T-90M as a triumph of engineering. In May 2025, Rostec's deputy CEO Vladimir Artyakov boasted that the T-90M, T-72B3M, and T-80BVM can be considered the world's best serial-produced tanks. His statement reflects the Kremlin's reliance on propaganda to maintain the image of superiority, even as battlefield evidence contradicts it. In reality, even Russia's allies have lost faith. India, once one of the largest foreign buyers of Russian tanks, committed in 2019 to purchase nearly 470 T-90Ms in a $2 billion deal. But within a few years, India reported numerous issues with reliability and performance. In 2020, during Russia's own international tank biathlon, India's T-90 malfunctions repeatedly, leading to disqualification. By 2022, Indian defense sources indicated plans to move toward Western alternatives like the French Leclerc. By the time Russia's T-90Ms rolled into Shakov, their reputation abroad was already damaged. The events of October 9th only confirmed what many defense analysts already suspected. The tank's technological base is obsolete, its systems flawed, and its battlefield performance underwhelming. Yet, despite this, Moscow continues to produce more. United 24 Media reported in June that Russia built between 280 and 300 T-90Ms in 2024, a significant increase from 2022, when only about 60 to 70 were produced. But even this increase can't compensate for the sheer scale of losses. With over 11,000 tanks destroyed, Russia's replacement rate amounts to just one new tank for every 10 lost. Russia appears determined to maintain the illusion of strength. The same propaganda that glorified the T-90M before the war now serves to justify its continued production. The Kremlin portrays it as a sign of resilience, proof that Russia can sustain its war effort despite mounting losses. But on the battlefield, Ukraine has shown time and again that new paint and upgraded sensors can't hide the reality of old engineering. On October 9th, the myth of the T-90M met the reality of Ukrainian firepower. Within a single day, a force that had taken Russia over a year to assemble was annihilated. Advanced tanks that were supposed to dominate the battlefield were left burning wrecks. Experienced troops trained for mechanized warfare were wiped out or forced to retreat. For Putin, the lesson is clear but politically inconvenient. Technology built on Soviet-era foundations cannot compete in 21st century warfare dominated by drones, precision munitions, and integrated reconnaissance. The T-90M was meant to symbolize Russia's modernization, a statement that Moscow's military industry could still produce world-class weapons. Instead, it has become a case study in the failure to adapt. As long as Russia continues to rely on these outdated systems, Ukraine's evolving tactics, combining drones, artillery, and anti-tank teams, will continue to dismantle them. What happened near Shakov wasn't an isolated incident. It was a snapshot of a much larger truth about the war. Russia's reliance on prestige weapons that cannot survive modern battle conditions. The T-90M's destruction within a single day underscores how the technological advantage once claimed by Moscow has completely evaporated. For Ukraine, the message is equally clear. Prepared defenses, modern weapons, and coordinated tactics can defeat even Russia's most advanced armor. The myth of the Invincible T-90M died in the mud of Donetsk, and with it one more piece of Russia's shrinking credibility. The T-90M will likely continue rolling off Russia's production lines in the coming years, either for internal use or potential export. But after its performance in Ukraine, it's doubtful that any nation will see it as the world's best tank. On October 9th, Ukraine didn't just destroy a formation of armored vehicles. It exposed a core weakness at the heart of Russia's military machine: the inability to innovate beyond its Soviet legacy. Putin's so-called invincible tanks lasted less than a day, and in modern warfare that says everything.